Which brings me to Trump's speech on the 4th. I think this was a barn burner. I really think this was an important speech and a massive gear change towards re-election. Obviously, we know all the other things that are there, but can we just show a couple of things that he said in this speech, and I'll get your take on it. First, his take on the extreme radical left.
We are now in the process of defeating the radical left, the Marxists, the anarchists, the agitators, the looters, and people who, in many instances, have absolutely no clue what they are doing.
Hallelujah. He talks too about the importance of protecting freedoms for all people of all races.
We will never allow an angry mob to tear down our statues, erase our history, indoctrinate our children, or trample on our freedoms.
And again, absolutely nails it about who is really behind the tear down the statue movement.
There have always been those who seek to lie about the past in order to gain power in the present. Those that are lying about our history, those who want us to be ashamed of who we are not interested in justice or in healing. Their goal is demolition.
Now, you know, Joe Hockey, everything he said was an absolute statement of the world as we know it to be. Yet, of course, the heads exploding from all the partisans on television, from the supposedly straight news to the idiots on Twitter. That's exactly what you want a president to say.
Well, that's right. Exactly right. But people just, you know, they form an opinion about Donald Trump. Most of them have never met him, never engaged with him, never spoken to him about these sorts of issues. I had someone say to me emphatically yesterday, Donald Trump's a racist. And I said, well, in my engagements with Donald Trump, that couldn't be further from the truth. I've never seen any evidence of that. But they couldn't be convinced otherwise. And, you know, unfortunately, there's a rush to define people before you listen to what they have to say. And of course Donald Trump has said some silly things. We all say silly things from time to time. But the attempt by particularly the angry left to appropriate the motivations of another person is really outrageous. And what it is doing is it's closing down free speech. And free speech allows people to protest in the first place. And yet the people that are protesting are effectively trying to close down any future generation that has a differing view. It's really appalling. And I hope Australia doesn't get to that point, Paul. I mean, people like you need to defend the right to free speech and the right to disagree. When I was Treasurer, I had people appropriating my motivations all the time, whether it be about people driving cars, about whether, you know, how you qualify to get a mortgage and buy a home. I mean, I had this angry mob that would just jump on me and say my motivations were all about crushing the poor. What complete crap. And it was all about them owning the narrative rather than actually being a part of a conversation of how you can lift people and help them who are most vulnerable and give opportunities to everyone right across the community.
Well, and I will never forgive nor forget those in the press gallery who tried to have a go at you for having a dance with your kid who you hadn't seen for ages, and the song and what was the meaning, and reading in, and this was sort of, you know, the leading question that you were asked by... Anyway, I know it's history, but this stuff hurts, and it's complete projection and bullshit that people throw. But, you know, I will never forgive for that deliberate distortion. It was a disgrace.